Hi, Helen from crystalsandcrochet.com here. In this very quick video tutorial, I would just like to talk to you about stitch anatomy. Okay, so when you've got very short stitches like single crochets, it's very difficult to see a post. These are the double crochets, US terms. Okay, so this part here, this is our post. These are our two top loops that form that V on top. So they are the top loops of that stitch. So as you can see, when we have right side facing us and we are right-handed, the top loops will sit, because we'll be working this way, our top loops will sit in front of our post. When we're working in rows and constantly turning our work, the top loops will sit after our post. Okay? So we have two top loops. This is the front loop, this is the back loop. And if we just pull that apart, you can see that loop going across diagonally underneath. That is what is called a third loop. Okay, so when you're going to work into a front loop, you go up. So your hook is in the middle of the V and you've just caught that front loop. When you work in the back loop, you go downwards into the back loop. If you're going to work into the back loop and third loop, you go down, push through and pick up both the back loop and the third loop. Okay? If you're going to work around a post, you need to come underneath that third loop and from the front around the post, or from the back around the post, like that. Okay? So when you're working in the round, which could either be a square or a circle, either one of the things to be very aware of when you're working with squares is as you work in the corner here, it's very easy to, so let's say we've just done this corner, we will partially or completely cover the two top loops of that first stitch there. Okay, so be aware of posts as well as top loops. I personally find it easier to count posts, particularly with the taller stitches. Okay, so always make sure that unless your pattern tells you to skip that first hidden stitch, you make a stitch into that first stitch. You might just have to squish the corner stitches up a little bit to see your top loops. But you can also very, very clearly see there where the stitch has been made under the top two loops, but not under that third loop that comes diagonally across. Let me just stretch that out and you can see all of them. Okay, that is how your normal stitches will always look. Okay, made under the two top loops but not under the third loop. If you're going to go under the third loop, it's because your pattern will tell you to work between stitches. Okay, one last little thing. A lot of people have problems when they begin a new round where they're carrying on with the same colour. Here you can clearly see This is the chain 3 that I've used to lift up into this next round. Okay, same here. Here's the chain 3 there. The slip stitch which is in there is teeny, so I'm not going to mistake that for an extra stitch. Also, because as I've come round, I've looked at the posts. This is the last stitch. There's my chain 3. This is the last stitch. So there's the last 2 top loops. If you happen to have big slip stitches, check your posts, and then you will never make an extra stitch where you don't actually need one. Okay, so this is our rising stitch, if you like, our chain 3. That's our first stitch of this round here. There's our second stitch. So you can clearly see we've got a chain 3 and a second double crochet made into the top of that chain 3, and then here is our next stitch made into that stitch there. Okay, so it is all very straightforward, but if you're used to working in rows and you suddenly start working in the round, it can get a little bit confusing. But always remember, if you are right-handed, your top loops will sit to the right of your post. If you are left-handed, it is purely reversed, so your loops will sit before the post. Okay? So the 2 top loops are always joined on to the post of the stitch. So where necessary, look at your posts, and then you will always make sure that you get your stitches in the correct places. Okay, hope that's helped.